Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody had a great week. We had some really exciting stuff. Very excited about tomorrow morning's LTS. Got a very unique thing in store for you guys. So hope you tune in. If you haven't registered, get on and register right away. The link to register will be in the description of this video. So, and all of our coffee and questions for the last couple weeks. Okay, so what we're going to do today is going to be like a little simple trick that I kind of learned by necessity. I was up in Oatman for several years, you guys know, where I was carving on site, making signs for tourists and snowbirds and western signs and different things like that. And what would happen is, especially with the cedar boards, what would happen is I'd make boards up 20, 30, 40 at a time, and I'd have them stocked up where I'd have them all shaped, black on the edges, you know, rounded edges with a bevel and the whole deal, scalloped. And once in a while I would check my boards on a regular basis to make sure they didn't have any splits or cracks. Well, once in a while they still had some moisture in them and they would crack. They would develop cracks on the edge, on the ends. And normally it used to be I just would throw those away, or I'd cut a shorter board out of them. Well, I got to the point where it's like, man, I'm throwing a lot of material away. Maybe I can repair these things. So that's what I did. I kind of developed a way to repair these. So I picked out a board. I couldn't find any of my cedar boards. The first time ever that I've looked all through all my cedar boards and had no cracks, of course, when I was really looking for one. So I'm hoping that, let me see, where's this crack? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm moving around, Dad. So there's a crack in the end of this board. This is a piece of that perfect plank. But the same thing that I'm doing on this, guys, will work on any boards, any cedar or pine or whatever. If you've got a board that's got a crack in it like this, now in this particular instance, I probably just cut this off. Anytime I can cut the crack off, that really sounded bad, but anytime I can cut the end of the board off to get rid of the crack.
Trim the board.
Trim the board, that's what I meant to say. Wow. Anyway, anytime I can do that, obviously that's what I want to do. But in a particular instance where you may have, and I've done this with signs that I've already had carved that didn't have cracks in them when I started, but through the vibration or whatever, it developed a crack in the end of the board and I had it all carved, I've repaired it this way. So there's my crack right there, my split. And then if you look at the end, it kind of, it's right about there, so hopefully you can focus in on that. You guys can see it, Dad.
It shows up pretty good.
Shows up pretty good. Yeah. So now here's what I'm going to show you that I developed this little trick. Now normally what I would do, or the way I used to do it, I've got to move things around here, guys. So what I used to do is just shove glue down in that split and then put a clamp on it. Well, that worked okay, but I realized, you know, what I really would like to do is get a lot more glue in there. So what I've done is I didn't have an extra pair of hands, so I had to kind of develop a way to open that crack up with having only two hands. So there's our crack right there. Here's our split, right? Yep, that's our split. Let's turn it over. There's our split right there. What I do is I just put something underneath that split, put it on the edge of a table, and then
Now you got a pencil there, but a 1/4-inch dowel would be just as good.
Anything. You could use a router bit, you could use a drill bit, you could use anything. I'm just using a pencil as an example. But what you can do now, if you zoom in on that, Dad.
Got it.
As I put now here's where you have to have kind of a light touch, guys. Don't really bear down on that because you don't want to split the whole thing all the way. You just want to open that crack up enough. Hopefully I don't split the thing like I'm talking about. So now you can see, if I let off on this, are you right on there, Dad?
Yeah.
If I let off on that, that crack will probably close back up. It should. See how it kind of closed back up? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put enough pressure on there. It's kind of going sideways on me a little bit. I'm going to put just enough pressure on there to open that crack up, and I can hear it just slightly. Now I'm going to just shove that thing full of glue
That's just regular.
This is Gorilla White Glue, but you could use Tight Bond. This just happened to be what I bought when I was down there. Now what I'll do is I'll take a putty knife and I'll just try and force as much glue down into that crack as I can possibly get. Now, you know, many of you woodworkers may have a better system of doing this, and maybe there's a better way. This is just what my Oki way that worked for me. So I didn't have a lot of tools, didn't have a lot of room. I just had to try and figure a best way to get as much glue in that crack as I could. Now, when I let off on that, you can see how that glue kind of comes out of there. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do the other side. I don't normally, but we'll go ahead and do the other side and open it up the other way too. But there's not near as much of a split on the back side as was on that front side, but I'm going to go ahead and open that up too and see how
You can see it open up.
you can see it open up there. So I'm just gonna, again guys, this is my version of the way I do it. You guys might have a better solution, a better way to do it, but this has always worked pretty well for me. Just something I kind of figured out in my oatman operation up there when I was running out of boards, and I would check my boards on a daily basis to see if any of them developed checks.
Now
or
the
cracks.
picture is kind of blurring a little bit because it's trying to
Focus on my hand.
trying to focus on your hand that's moving, but that's okay. And that shows really good when you
See
snap
how
it.
how
When you came loose on
So
that.
now, and then what I'll do is I'll just put a clamp on it. I'll just put a bar clamp on it now. I don't have to glue my pencil to my board. So now I'll just put a bar clamp on it. Sorry if I'm losing you there, Dad. And now you know that that thing is, once that glue dries up, you're going to have a pretty good seam there. I don't think anybody's going to even know that that ever had a split in it. And that's pretty much it. So that's just a little trick I kind of learned by necessity, and it's worked out pretty well for me. So any questions, Dad? Anything I left out?
None at all. It looks good, son.
Okay, so that's, again, this will work. This is a bare piece of wood that is a piece of scrap perfect plank, but it would work on the cedar. I've done it on cedar, I've done it on redwood, I've done it on pine. You know, any kind of wood that you're doing, if you can possibly get a little piece under there and then clamp down both sides, open that up, shove your glue in there, and then once it closes up and put a clamp on it, you should be good to go. When that dries, nobody will even know it had a split in it. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys. We will see you tomorrow morning on Coffee and Questions. Hope everybody has a great weekend. What am I forgetting, Dad? Oh, makeawoodsign.com. Please share our videos as much as you can and like our channel. We're getting great responses from you guys, lots of shares and stuff. We want to thank you, and we will see you tomorrow morning on the LTS. Have a great evening and a great weekend. Bye.